Welcome to part 4 of Jamey Heath's October 8, 2025 deposition. Hudson. Mr. Heath, I understand that Miss Lively testified that you showed her a video of your wife giving birth, right? I'm aware. And you understand that this is an incident that she found uncomfortable. Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I'm aware now. Hudson, you're aware? You didn't know then? I did not. You did not know at the time that she found it, that she was uncomfortable with that? I did not. When was the first time you learned she was uncomfortable? I want to say when the CRD complaint was okay. So that was the first time you believe you understood that she was uncomfortable. Is that right? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, in the context described, yes. Hudson, in the context described, okay. And she testified that you showed her this video after the birthing scene was already filmed. Do you recall that? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I don't recall her exact testimony, but I believe that to be true. Hudson, okay, and she testified that Mr. Baldoni had tried to persuade her to film the birth scene nude. Do you recall that? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I don't recall if I learned that for the first time in the deposition, but I think that was stated in her suit. Hudson, okay, were you present for any conversation in which Mr. Baldoni talked to Miss Lively about being nude in the birthing scene? No. Okay, and did you at some point show Miss Lively a video of your wife giving birth? I did not show her a video of my wife giving birth. Did you show her a video in which your wife was nude? Yeah, my wife was nude in the tub, covered with a baby in a towel. Your wife was in a towel in the video? No, there was a towel to keep the baby warm. The baby was on top of my wife, and there was a towel there. In the video that you showed, Miss Lively, were your wife's breasts exposed? No, the baby was covering on top of her, and the towel was there. Honestly, could you maybe see a side of it or something of that nature? That's possible. I don't recall exactly, but that's essentially the scene of the video. Your lawyers produced a video in this case. Did you provide a video in which your wife is in a tub with a baby to your lawyers to produce to us in this case? I did. Okay, where was that video stored? You mean at what point? At the point that you took it to give it to your lawyers. Where did you get it? Where was it? I believe it was on my phone. It was on your phone. I believe so. Okay, did you edit the video at all before giving it to your lawyers? I did not. So the video you gave was the complete video as it existed on your phone. Correct. What in your memory did the video depict? It's our midwife, my sister, my kids, my wife, myself, our newborn baby. I believe we were singing or praying. The baby was crying, and then at some point we were whispering a prayer in the baby's ear. That's what you recall? Yeah. And your wife was in a tub. A birthing tub, yeah. A birthing tub. And you said she wasn't clothed, but she had a towel over her. Shapiro, objection. Jamey, the towel was over the baby. I think because, when the baby came out of the water and you bring it up, then it's wet, so you put a dry towel to cover it. Hudson, and in the video that you gave to your lawyers to give to us, were you in the video? I am. And are you nude in that video? No. Did your wife give birth in a tub? She did. Were you in the tub when she gave birth? I was. The entire time? I believe so. You were there the whole time she was giving birth? I was. Who filmed the video? That particular one, I believe, was my daughter. Your daughter? My older daughter. Your older daughter. Did you give your daughter instructions for filming? I'm not sure. What do you mean? Did you ask her to film any particular part of the birth? No, she was just, her and my sister both actually were filming different stages of the labor and the birth and afterwards. So did someone else film a different stage other than the stage that is depicted in the video that you gave to your lawyers to produce to us? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I think I'm a little confused, but I think your question is, is there other video of the duration of my child being born and after and beforehand? Hudson, sure. Yes. What other stages of the delivery are depicted in the video? Her entire birth. How long was the birth? Oh gosh, I don't remember. The whole birth thing, couple of hours. And it's all on film? No. I just mean the birth took a couple of hours at different times. But if you're wondering if the birth is filmed, it is. The delivery itself, it is. So the baby crowning and coming out is all filmed? Yes. The baby being delivered? Yes, for sure. Were you in the tub with your wife when the baby was actually delivered? I was. Do you know in the film depicting the baby actually being delivered, are you in that, or are you in the shot? I'm sorry, can you repeat it? I just want to follow. Yes, when the baby's being delivered, are you in the shot of the film? I think so. Have you watched all of that film of the birth and delivery of your child? No. You haven't watched it all? Not all of it. I mean, at some point, we've reflected on it and seen some portions of it, but no. Is it all on your phone? No. It's not? Which ones are on your phone? Just the one with the baby on my wife and the one I described? The one that you produced in this case, that's the only one that is on your phone? Yes. The one I produced and the one that I showed to Miss Lively. Is that the only one that has ever been on your phone? I don't know for sure. How did the one get on your phone? How did that one get on your phone? Well, originally we had uploaded to preserve them on, I believe, Dropbox. And then on Dropbox, then I would download it to my phone. So that's how it would have got on my phone. Or maybe some portions were filmed with my phone. Maybe my daughter had my phone. I don't recall the process of that time. But so some portions might have been filmed on your phone, but the only one that remained on your phone was the one that you produced. Is that what you're saying? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, yeah, that's the only one that I would keep on my phone, as that's something that would feel appropriate if my phone was falling into the wrong hands. Hudson, you said that you were not nude in that video, but you were not wearing a shirt, correct? I was not wearing a shirt. Would you agree that it's not really clear what you're wearing beyond, if anything beyond a shirt from that video? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, yeah, I would agree that you wouldn't know otherwise, I suppose. Hudson, so going back to you said there might have been other portions of the birth video on your phone? When were those other portions? When did you remove the other ones? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I don't even know if they were ever on my phone to begin with, so I wouldn't have had to remove them. Hudson, you said you thought that some portions of the birthing video might have been taken with your phone. Shapiro, objection. Jamey, correct, but once I would have them, then I would upload them to Dropbox. Hudson, immediately? Well, then I mean immediately, not in the moment of the birth. Week and 2 weeks is happening, but at some point. So is your testimony that to the extent that there were other videos on your phone, you removed all of them onto Dropbox except for the one that you produced in this case? Is that right? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I'm saying that at some point, I don't know exactly what was on my phone during the time of the birth, but eventually I did not have them. Hudson, did you send that video that you gave to your lawyers to anyone? Shapiro, objection. Hudson, other than your lawyers? Not that I can recall. Did you send it to Melissa Nathan? I do not recall. Can you access Dropbox from your phone? I can. Have you ever accessed any of the videos of your wife's birth? Not your wife's birth, strike that. Have you ever accessed any of the birth videos on Dropbox from your phone? I don't have a particular memory of it. You can't say one way or the other. I don't have a memory of it. So going back to the day on which you showed the video to Miss Lively, her testimony was that when she saw it, she immediately saw that it was a naked woman that you were showing her, that she didn't know what it was. It had no context, that you did not ask if she wanted to see it and did not ask for her consent. And then you told her that the video was of your wife giving birth. Is that an accurate description of the incident in which you showed Miss Lively the video? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, no. Hudson, which part of that in your view is not accurate? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I think a lot of that is inaccurate. Hudson, okay. We're leaving out, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Hudson, I'm sorry. Do you have an objection? Shapiro, indicating. Hudson, no. Okay. Shapiro, do you have another question? Hudson, I don't have a question. He's answering a question. Shapiro, he already answered the question. Hudson, he was still speaking. Jamey, can you repeat the question? I forgot it. I'm sorry. Hudson, yeah, what? You were about to describe what you think of this description is inaccurate. Yeah, I said a lot of it. What exactly? Well, what I showed her was not what is described here. When I had walked up to her, prompted by Justin asking me and saying that they had had a conversation at some point and that he believed what I understood, that he believed that she wanted to see it, that he had mentioned something about it. So when I approached her, I had said something, hey, Blake, thinking that she wanted to see it. Justin said something, you wanted to see this. She walked up for a second. She glanced at the phone. She may have looked for a half a second. And then she asked me, does your wife know? Is it okay with you showing this? I said, yeah, of course. I wouldn't show anything that my wife wasn't comfortable with. So then she said, I don't remember her exact words, but she said something like, oh, I'm eating right now. I need to eat some protein, because she had a plate of protein for her own purposes with the baby. But I will come see it later. I'll find you later and I would love it. And then she also said, like, I think that's all wonderful and beautiful. And I was like, okay, great. I left. And that was the end of the conversation. She said, I think that's all wonderful and beautiful. I don't know if those were her words, but she was very gracious and very kind, and nothing seemed to be of any concern. When she asked you if your wife had given consent for you to share that video, did you say she's not weird about that kind of stuff? No. You didn't say that? Of course not. And what did Mr. Baldoni tell you with respect to Miss Lively wanting to see that video? I had known there had been quite a bit of conversations about how he wanted to shoot the actual birthing scene in the movie. And he had like 4 or 5 ideas of how he wanted to shoot it, how he might want to depict the scenario. And from what I understand, he and Blake had many conversations about it as well. One of them that he was considering was shot in the style of a home birth. He thought about doing it on an iPhone. He was just throwing out different ideas. There was no decision made at that time over weeks. And then eventually they decided not to shoot it that way. So Justin, I believe it was at the Root, the bar we filmed the Root at. I was sitting over on a chair doing some work on my phone. Justin comes over and says, "Hey, I was talking to Blake. I was talking about your beautiful video with your wife. Would you mind showing it to her?" I said, "Yeah, sure." I didn't think twice about it. I went over, walked over to her, and then the rest, as I explained, already happened. You didn't say anything to Miss Lively before you showed her the video because it was your understanding that that she had specifically asked for it? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, my understanding at that time was that they had just had a conversation or just at some point had a conversation and that she was expecting or that she was aware. Hudson, so you didn't say anything prefatory? Like, this is the video that Justin said you wanted to look at? Jamey, I did say something when I walked up. I was like, "Hey, Blake, Justin had mentioned you wanted to see this," and then I immediately showed her the screen. You mean, was it playing at the time? I don't recall if it was playing or paused. Do you know what scene was specifically showing? What was visible to Miss Lively when you hit play? Well, the first portion of the video, which again, she had only seen maybe half a second of it, it's only my wife sitting here, the baby on top, and that's what she would have seen. So your testimony is what you showed her was the very beginning of the video. Yeah, for sure. Shapiro, objection. Hudson, okay. Jamey, either it was paused or playing. I don't recall that, but for sure. Hudson, do you remember what date this was? I've come to believe and know that the date is May 23rd. When you showed her the video? Correct. Do you know when the birthing scene was filmed? I do. What date? I don't know the date. I know it was a couple or a few days beforehand. It was before you showed her the video, right? It was. You said that Mr. Baldoni talked to you about the video in the context, as you understood it, of some debate about how that scene would be shot, right? Right. Okay, so since the scene had been shot already, what was the purpose of showing her the video? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, well, I can't tell you exactly his purpose, but I think I had an understanding of it, but I don't know what his exact thinking was at that moment. Hudson, and you didn't ask? I didn't, because he had mentioned that he and Blake were speaking and gave me that context and said that she wanted to see it. At least that's what I understood him to be saying, so I thought it was reasonable. And you said you understood that's what he was saying to you? So he may have been saying something different? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I don't recall his exact words, but that's the impression I got from the words he had said to me. Hudson, okay. And Miss Lively testified that you did not tell her why you were showing her the video. You're claiming today that you said Justin asked me to show you this, right? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I've always said that. Hudson, well, I've never talked to you about it before, so I didn't know what you've been saying. Shapiro, objection. Ask questions, please. Hudson, I am asking questions. Shapiro, that wasn't a question. It was a snarky comment. Please ask questions. Hudson, Mr. Heath, your testimony is that what Miss Lively said is not accurate when she said that you did not tell her why you were showing her the video. Shapiro, objection. Hudson, is that right? Can you repeat to me what you asked? I'm going to strike it. Did you ever ask Mr. Baldoni why Miss Lively wanted to see that video? I don't recall having a specific conversation afterwards. Did you have any? Did you question at all what Mr. Baldoni had told you about what Miss Lively wanted when she asked you if your wife was okay with you sharing the video with her? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, sorry, I need you to rephrase that. I didn't follow. Hudson, you said Miss Lively asked you if it was okay with your wife if you shared the video, right? Yes. When she asked you that, did you have any questions whether it was accurate that she had asked to see the video? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, did I ask Blake that? Hudson, when she asked you if it was okay with your wife, did you have any questions about whether it was accurate that she was the one who had asked to see the video? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, no. Hudson, okay. Jamey, no, this interaction for me was innocuous. It was a nothing. It seemed in context of they were there filming and a lot of conversations happening. And so I did not think about that after that. And there's been some testimony about Mr. Sarwitz being at the set the day of the the day the birth scene was filmed. Yes. Shapiro, objection. Hudson, and you recall him being there that day as well, correct? He was there later that day. I understand, but he was there on the set at some point during the day, correct? Correct. Hudson, I'm going to hand you what we've marked as Exhibit 9. Shapiro, there is already an Exhibit 9. Ahuran, I have Exhibit 9. Jamey, do you need this back? Hudson, it's Exhibit 10. Exhibit 10 marked for identification. Jamey, okay. Hudson, if you don't mind putting the sticker on. Jamey, on top of this one? Hudson, yes. Jamey, sure, you got it. Hudson, I don't have anything for you to read just yet. I'm going to ask you some questions off the document, and then I will ask you to look at something on the document, okay? So it's my understanding that Wayfair has taken the position that there was a closed set the day of the birthing scene. Is that right? Yeah, I believe every day was a closed set. Okay, I think in the amended complaint at page 27, you take the position that it was a closed set, right? Yes. Okay, and what do you understand closed set to mean? That it's not open to the public or people that don't have either a need or not invited to be there. Okay, and when people are invited to a closed set, are they required to be listed on the call sheet? No. They are not required to be listed on the call sheet? That if what? If they're invited to a set on a closed set day, are they not required to be on the call sheet? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, that I don't know. Hudson, you don't know? I don't know. What would you expect on a closed set day that someone who would be present you would expect to see their name on a call sheet? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, in my experience, no. Every day was a closed set on every call sheet. So even on a day that we were maybe filming a car scene of people driving, still our call sheets, I believe it was closed. Hudson, was it an actual closed set just because it said so on the call sheet? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I believe all days were closed sets. Hudson, all days were closed? And then the call sheets list, who is permitted on the set, correct? I don't have that answer. So you don't know if it's a closed set. How you keep track of that? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, that would be a question more for our AD and line producer, I believe. Hudson, do you understand that the term closed set to have a specific meaning with respect to intimacy and nudity? Jamey, I don't know if I know that exact language. So you don't know what closed set means with respect to intimacy and nudity. Is that what you're saying? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I do know that when we have a closed set, that it is only necessary personnel only is different than necessarily a more broad term of a closed set. Hudson, and you don't know how it is that it's determined who's necessary for a closed set. Is that what you're saying? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the difference in a closed set versus a set that is closed but authorized personnel only. Those are different things in your mind, in my experience, but I could be wrong. And what are the circumstances in which you have a closed set with authorized personnel only? You might have a set that's only the people necessary for the actual filming. So do you need, for instance, hair and makeup there? They're not necessarily necessary for the scene. Do you need the grips that have already done their work that are normally on a closed set, but they're not in there for personnel only that is needed to actually film that scene? And how is it reflected? Who are the authorized personnel that can be there? Shapiro, objection. Hudson, wouldn't that be on the call sheet? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I don't know. Hudson, you don't know? I don't. What is the purpose of a call sheet to your understanding? It's for the AD, for the director, for the producers to understand who the crew and cast will be there. And when it's a closed set day, does it also include anyone who's authorized to be on the set that day? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I don't know if that means authorized or not, but I, in this case, would defer to Alex Sachs, who was more the lead on these things. So I would defer to her knowledge. Hudson, was Alex Sachs responsible for placing names on the call sheet? I don't know that to be one way or another. Or authorizing names for the call sheet? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I don't know that to be one way or another. Hudson, how would you control who was on the set other than putting people on a call sheet on days in which the set is closed for intimacy and nudity? Shapiro, objection. Hudson, how do you know who's authorized and who isn't, is my question. Shapiro, objection. Jamey, the AD is the one who determines who's necessary for that. Hudson, and would you expect the AD to write that down somewhere? I don't know. I can say that the call sheet, even if there was a scene that required intimacy, the call sheet would still include the whole crew because you might have to set up. You might have all the different departments that need to do the work there. Set decorators, for instance, would be on the call sheet. But that doesn't mean they're there for the actual filming. And the AD would ask people to leave and only have necessary personnel. Okay, now you're familiar also with Miss Lively's description of an incident in which you were in her makeup trailer when she was in a state of undress, right? Do I understand her description of it? You understand her description of it, right? I do understand I know that she has a description of it, yes. And did you hear the descriptions of Vivian Baker and Ann Carroll of that incident? I did. Bless you. Shapiro, thank you. Hudson, and you understand that Miss Lively, Miss Carroll, and Miss Baker all testified that she was in her makeup trailer in a state of undress. Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I heard what they said. Yeah. Hudson, and you understand that they said she was not clothed from waist up. Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I don't recall exactly. I remember hearing some inconsistencies even in their own versions, but I recall them testifying about that, yeah. Hudson, and you recall testimony that Miss Lively's breasts were exposed. I recall somebody saying something of that nature. I don't recall who. And do you recall testimony that you came into that when you came to the trailer, that it was communicated no, 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 or whoa, 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 or don't come in? Words to that effect? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I recall somebody saying something like that. Hudson. Okay, somebody among these three people who have testified about, correct. Is that right? Yes, okay. And you recall the testimony was that notwithstanding those statements not to come in, you came in nonetheless? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I've heard their version of that, yes. Hudson, and you understand the version of Miss Baker, Miss Carroll, and Miss Lively is that you also insisted on staying in the trailer in order to have a meeting, which you said something along the lines of, if we don't have it now, we're not going to have it at all. Shapiro, objection. Hudson, you recall that testimony? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I recall something of that nature. Hudson, okay, and you recall the testimony that you were asked to turn around and not look at Miss Lively given her state of undress. Shapiro, objection. Jamey, and the question is, Hudson, do you recall that testimony? Something of that nature. Okay, and you recall that notwithstanding that you looked at Miss Lively in the mirror and you were observed by more than one of these witnesses to have seen her reflection in which she was exposed with her breasts exposed. Specifically. Shapiro, objection. Jamey, yeah, I've heard them, some version of that. Hudson, okay, and you've heard the testimony that Miss Lively said, I told you to turn around and not look, or words to that effect. Shapiro, objection. Jamey, you're saying the testimony was that she said that according to their story during this, Hudson's correct, alleged incident. Correct. I don't exactly recall that. Okay, all right. And you recall the sum and substance of it was that Miss Lively was uncomfortable with you having come into the trailer and looked at her with her breasts exposed. Shapiro, objection. Jamey, yeah, I heard her testimony. Hudson, okay, you heard the testimony of Miss Baker and Miss Carroll that they also were uncomfortable. Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I heard their testimony. Hudson, and you heard their testimony that they also observed Miss Lively being uncomfortable at that moment. Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I heard their testimony. Hudson, okay, was there an incident in which you were in Miss Lively's makeup trailer along with Miss Carroll and Miss Baker when she was in a state of undress? I don't know that she was in a state of undress. Do you have a specific memory of the incident that Miss Carroll, Miss Baker, and Miss Lively described? I do. Okay, what is your memory of that incident? Well, this is day 2 of shooting. We had got a text that morning, maybe the night before, but it could have been that morning from Miss Lively that she wanted to meet with me and Ange and Justin and Alex. We tried to have the meeting that morning. It didn't work out. We tried to have it in the afternoon, several attempts, and we were not able to achieve. At the end of shooting, we were at the cemetery. I approached her and said, I know you wanted to meet today, but it's getting late, and suggested that maybe we do it the next day or something. She had said that she was going back to her makeup trailer. Could we meet her there? And we could have the conversation then. Not the conversation that she wanted to have in the morning, the conversations about whether or not we were going to do it that night or the next day. So the conversation, just so I understand it, was just about when the meeting was going to take place. She was hoping to have it that day, that night, and now that it was at the end of the day, I was concerned about her turnaround time. So just to be clear, though, the conversation that you were going to have with Miss Lively in her makeup trailer, in your understanding, was about when this meeting was going to take place? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, whether we were going to do it that night or the next day. Hudson, okay. So the 4 of us, Justin, myself, Ange Gianetti, and Alex Sachs, all went to her makeup trailer. The 4 of us, I knocked, heard some sort of come in or yes or some indication that led me to believe it was okay to open the door. So the opposite of what the 3 witnesses said? You asked me what? I just want to make sure I understand. They all said no. And you heard yes? Is that right? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I don't. Shapiro, will you let him finish his answer? You asked him to describe his memory of the event and you keep interrupting him. Hudson, well, I'm asking questions as he is providing the answer. Jamey, would it be okay if I just give you my answer? Hudson, go ahead. Is that all right? Go ahead. So then I knocked, to be clear, with Justin and Ange and Alex with me at the bottom of her steps. I knocked on the door, heard some indication to come in. As I took a step up, I saw that she was leaned back. She looked what I thought was either maybe breastfeeding or nursing. I said to her, oh, it looks like you're busy. I can come back. As I turned around, she says, no, that's okay. You can come in, just look away. And I said, sure. Now, I never saw the front of her. I just saw this, which appeared to me a familiar position of her feeding or nursing or pumping. So then I walked over to the side, looked away. We had a 2-minute conversation, could have been 3 minutes, about whether or not we were going to have the meeting that night or the next day. I was trying to negotiate with her. Could we do it tomorrow? Because I was worried about the turnaround time and we would lose money, which is an implication. We would lose hours in the next day, which is an implication of money. We had a conversation back and forth. She eventually said no. She had to have it tonight and she would not waive any sort of turnaround time and do it off record. So then I left, walked down the stairs out of the makeup trailer where Ange, Justin, and Alex were. Reported to them she wants to do it tonight. I tried to convince her to do it tomorrow, but she wants to do it tonight. She walked out 4 or 5 minutes later, greeted us, and said hello. We went into her then trailer and we had a discussion about what she wanted to meet with us. And when she came to the trailer for the meeting, did she say anything about what had just occurred in her makeup trailer? She did not. This is on day 2. This is May. May 16th? May 16th. Did you ever learn that Miss Lively had a different view of the incident in the trailer prior to her testimony? I learned that her different view is when I read the CRD complaint. So you didn't hear any concerns raised by Miss Lively regarding this incident in the trailer on the second day of shooting until the CRD complaint? We had a conversation about it on June 1st, 2 weeks later, but not that there was a concern. Okay, when you say we had a conversation about it 2 weeks later, who are you talking about? There was a conversation with Blake, Justin, myself, and Alex Sachs about she had got COVID and we returned to set. We had a morning conversation before we started working. And who called that meeting on June 1st? I believe it was Blake. Hudson, Exhibit 11 marked for identification. Shapiro, are we done with Exhibit 10? Hudson, yes. Shapiro, okay. Hudson, Mr. Heath, do you recognize this as the text message in which Miss Lively invited you to a meeting with Miss Sachs, Yeah, Baldoni? Yeah, I see it. And she says she wants to give you a check-in before rehearsal. As read, I can pop out of my makeup trailer early and meet you in my trailer, eager to get back to work on a solid track. Do you see that? Yes. Yes, and this is a text message that you received and participated in, correct? Correct. And it's dated June 1st, 2023, Bates stamp BL 11580. Were you present for Miss Sachs' testimony about this meeting on June 1st? I was. Okay, so you heard that in that meet, that Miss Sachs said in the meeting, Miss Lively brought up that she had been shown a video of your wife giving birth, which made her uncomfortable. Shapiro, objection. Jamie, what is the question? Hudson, you heard Miss Sachs testify that in this meeting on June 1st, Miss Lively brought up that she had been shown a video of your wife giving birth and it made her uncomfortable. Shapiro, objection. Jamie, I don't recall Miss Sachs' exact words, but I remember her talking about it. Hudson, and you remember her testifying to that effect. Shapiro, objection. Hudson, whether those are the exact words she used, right? I honestly don't recall what she had said. You don't recall any aspect of her testimony about the June 1st meeting? Shapiro, objection. Jamie, no, I just don't recall what she had said. Hudson, okay, I just don't. Well, do you recall from her testimony learning that or hearing that Miss Sachs described Miss Lively in this meeting saying she was uncomfortable? Shapiro, objection. Jamie, honestly, I don't recall. I just remember her saying that there was a conversation about it. Hudson, okay, well, do you recall during the meeting, regardless of what Miss Sachs said, do you recall Miss Lively saying that she was uncomfortable by being shown the video? I do not. You don't recall that? She never said to me that she was uncomfortable. Okay, so Miss Sachs is lying? Shapiro, objection. Jamie, I have no judgment about Miss Sachs. I'm just telling you what happened. Hudson, okay. Do you recall Miss Sachs testifying that you tried to clarify that you thought Justin told Miss Lively about the video and that Miss Lively wanted to see it? Hold on. For clarity, you were just talking about, yes, the trailer? No, we're talking about, I thought the video, okay? We're talking about the June 1st meeting and what Miss Sachs said about it, okay? I thought you were referring to the video, so I misunderstood, okay? About the trailer? Yes. So both questions with regard to the video. Correct. Yeah, okay, now I'm clear. During that meeting, do you recall Miss Sachs in her testimony saying that you said on this June 1st meeting that you tried to clarify that you thought Justin told Miss Lively about the video and that Miss Lively wanted to see it? Shapiro, objection. Jamie, I don't recall what Miss Sachs said. Hudson, okay, did you do that in the meeting? Shapiro, objection. Jamie, it was brought up and Justin did interject and say that he was the one that asked me to show her. Hudson, okay, so if Miss Lively wasn't saying she was uncomfortable, what was your understanding of the reason she brought up the video? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I can tell you what the interaction was and what I inferred from it. Hudson, sure. As she came back from having COVID, and as her text said she wanted to get off to a as read back to work on a solid track, she said to me that, Jamey, when you walked up to me to show me the video with your wife, I thought you were showing me porn. I said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Really? Oh my gosh. She was like, I know that it wasn't, but it startled me. I thought that's what you were showing me. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And then we moved on. She didn't say anything that it was uncomfortable. She was just telling me that that's what she thought. She recognized that what she thought it was, that it was in fact what I showed her, and then she moved on to the next subject. So you didn't take from her telling you she thought you were showing her porn as an indication that she might have been uncomfortable? I did not. Shapiro, objection. Okay, all right. And did Miss Lively also say in that June 1st meeting that everything is too comfortable on set? I don't recall that. Okay, Miss Sachs testified to that. If you don't recall, you don't have any reason to dispute Miss Sachs' memory, do you? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I can't speak about her memory in any way. I can only tell you what I recall. I don't recall that. Hudson, you don't recall one way or the other? I have no memory of it. Okay, Miss Sachs also said that Miss Lively said that she requested that the set be more professional in this meeting. Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I remember something about that. I just don't know the details, but I do remember her saying something about that. Hudson, Miss Sachs also said Miss Lively said there was a lot of hugging and touching amidst the Wayfarer team during that meeting. Shapiro, objection. Jamey, yeah, I don't know what I recall about that because I don't really hug people on set and mostly I high five them. I'm a high fiver. So I didn't necessarily take that in other than maybe, so I don't really recall the context for it. Maybe it was specific. Hudson, but it is the case that you recall Miss Lively saying that. Is that right? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I remember something about it. I just don't recall more than that. Hudson, okay, and you also recall Miss Lively saying something that you all would make jokes about how you couldn't do that. Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I don't recall that at all. Hudson, okay. In fact, I specifically, that would have perked my ears, so I have no memory of that. Well, you remember Miss Sachs' testimony that she said in her view, that's not how a workplace or the leaders of a workplace should operate. They shouldn't be making light of the behavior that makes their employees uncomfortable. Do you recall her saying that? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I don't recall Miss Sachs saying that. Hudson, okay, and then in the June 1st meeting, did Miss Lively also bring up the trailer incident as you coming into her trailer while she was getting her body makeup taken off and that she didn't have any clothes on? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, no. Hudson, okay, Miss Sachs testified to that this is what Miss Lively said. So you're disputing Miss Sachs' memory? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I don't mean to dispute anybody's memory, okay? I can only just tell you what had happened. That's not, Hudson, did Miss Lively discuss the trailer incident? She did bring it up, yeah. What did she say about it in your memory? After she had said something about, as I said, that she thought the video at first was porn, recognized that it wasn't because it was not. She then said, also, when you came into the trailer a couple of weeks, I asked you to look away at some point and you made eye contact with me. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know that. She says, I'm not saying you were trying to cop a look. I'm just saying that I had asked you to turn away and you made eye contact with me. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't even realize that. Maybe I happened to glance through conversation. I have no memory of it. And then she moved on to the next. She never said anything about being uncomfortable. My experience with Miss Lively at this point is that she pointed things out all the time. So it was just more, but it never felt like in any way did I get a sense that she was claiming that she was uncomfortable. Would she have to use the specific words, I am uncomfortable, in order for you to glean from what she was telling you that she was uncomfortable? No. Shapiro, objection. Jamey, no, no, no. Hudson, well, what would she have had to do other than use those words to indicate to you that she was uncomfortable? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I can't speculate to that. I can only say that there was nothing about it that made me believe that she was expressing that she was uncomfortable other than she had COVID concerns. She was pointing out a lot of things that she didn't like about production, and it was a list of things. Hudson, okay, and you knew then at minimum she didn't like these things. Is that right? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I did not know that. Hudson, Mr. Baldwin testified that he understood she was bringing those things up because she wanted them to stop. She didn't want you to show her videos of your wife giving birth, and she did not want you to come into her trailer and look at her. Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I don't recall that being his testimony. By the way, that he had said I did not, that he said those words. Hudson, and what was your understanding? She was just pointing it out to you? She didn't have any concerns about those things? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I took it as her pointing out something, like oftentimes people point out something that when we have a misunderstanding, I thought you were, as like the video, for instance, oh my gosh, I thought you were showing me porn. It wasn't. So there was no issue there. She's just more expressing it among other things, but I never took it like there was any sort of insinuation of that she was uncomfortable. Hudson, and you said there were other things that she was pointing out during the meeting. What do you recall? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, yeah, her frustration with COVID. She had some trailer issues that I can't recall if it came up in that moment or not. She felt that, I can't remember what she said about Alex, but there was a thing or two with Alex. She talked to Justin. She expressed some of the things that she wanted us to be aware of about set. Shapiro, can we take a break? Hudson, can we just finish this line? Shapiro, sure. Hudson, so you said that you didn't recall Miss Lively saying anything about how you make jokes about how you can't make eye contact with people anymore, as if to undermine and lessen the importance of people not wanting to be comfy cozy on set. You don't recall her saying anything like that. Shapiro, objection. Jamey, I'm sorry. Can you repeat that, please? I'm sorry. Hudson, I just want to, let me ask this in a different way. Okay. After this meeting took place, Miss Sachs sent a summary of the meeting to Ange Gianetti in a text message. Okay, and both Miss Gianetti and Miss Sachs have testified about this text chain. And in the text chain, Miss Sachs says, as read, the other piece was that she was like, you, Jamey, make jokes about how you can't make eye contact with people anymore, as if to undermine and lessen the importance of people not wanting to be comfy cozy on set. Do you recall Miss Lively saying that to you on June 1st? Shapiro, objection. Jamey, no. Hudson, okay, we can take a break. The videographer, we're going off the record. The time is 2:58 p.m. Recess. The videographer, we're back on the record. The time is 3:26 p.m. See you in part 5.